8 Windows Remote Desktop Connection Custom Configurations to save you time. Do you use Windows Remote Desktop Connection in your daily life? If you do, you should create a custom remote desktop connection configuration file for each remote connection. Creating a custom connection configuration is simple and will save you a truckload of time down the line. Remote desktop connection configuration files have a surprisingly large amount of options. 2. But which should you tweak? Before you can customize your remote desktop connection configuration files, you need to create one to configure. Here's how you create a remote desktop connection configuration file. Head to the configuration file save location. Right-click the remote desktop connection configuration file, and select Open with. Browse to Notepad and select OK. The remote desktop configuration file contains a long list of options. Here are X of the handiest ones to configure ahead of time. One of the most important and handy remote desktop connection configuration options is Auto Reconnection enabled. When you turn on Auto Reconnection, remote desktop connection will automatically attempt to connect to the remote computer if your connection drops for any reason. Locate the following line and make sure it looks like this. I would suggest using the Auto Connect Max Retries option in conjunction with Auto Reconnection enabled. You can set the maximum number of times remote desktop connection will attempt to reconnect to the remote computer. Remote desktop can handle a maximum of 200 reconnection attempts, after which the connection will remain dead. The connection type, remote desktop option specifies which type of internet connection the remote connection is using. In terms of available bandwidth, depending on the option you select, the remote desktop connection will change performance-related settings, including font smoothing, animations, Windows arrow, themes, desktop backgrounds, and so on. Most of the time, the best option is 7. Automatic bandwidth detection. However, if you are sure your connection is of a specific type, you can input a manual connection type. Change the connection type line to reflect your connection type. The following uses automatic bandwidth detection. Connection type I7. Note that you must also switch on the network auto detect option for automatic bandwidth detection to work. The remote desktop connection desktop width and desk defate let you set a specific window size for the remote desktop connection. Anything window size below full screen will appear in a remote desktop connection window. Desk defate I600. However, you can override the custom remote desktop connection window size settings using the desktop size ID option. This option specifies predefined window sizes. As available in the remote desktop connection dialog box, your options are: Smart Sizing makes resizing an active remote desktop window easier. Well, it makes it easier for content in the remote desktop window to scale properly. At times, when you resize a remote desktop window, the content becomes blurry, pixelated, or otherwise distorted. Smart Sizing takes care of those issues. Something sometimes overlooked during the remote desktop connection creation is the use of the Windows key function. How do you control which computer uses the Windows key function and its shortcuts? You can set your remote desktop connection configuration to let either the client or the host system to apply Windows key combinations. There are 3 options. So, if you want to make sure your Windows key shortcuts work on the remote computer specifically, use the following option. Keyboard shortcuts can save you hours of time. Master the universal Windows keyboard shortcuts, keyboard tricks for specific programs, and a few other tips to speed up your work. Another convenient remote desktop connection feature is Redirect Clipboard. This option allows you to copy content from the client clipboard and paste in your local machine. Better still, it is reciprocal, so you can copy and paste into your remote desktop environment. Basic, but irritating if you don't turn it on. In the age of multi-monitor setups, your remote connection can also use the extra screen. In old pre-Windows 7 days, remote desktop connection users had to make do with span mode, which had several limitations, including the total resolution of the monitors not exceeding 4096 x 2048. Given a single 4K UHD monitor almost exceeds that. You can see the issue. Multiman lets you use each monitor attached to the remote machine as your own, without restriction. If you regularly remotely connect to a device with numerous monitors, use Multiman is a must. Use Multiman. Want your own multi-monitor setup. Follow Makeuzioff's complete guide to setting up a multi-monitor system. For your productivity, 2 screens are better than 1. Let's see how you can customize your second monitor with the best tools available online. Many of these settings are available through the Windows Remote Desktop Connection dialog box. However, you can create numerous configurations quite quickly once you know which custom settings you want to tweak. There are many more remote desktop connection configuration settings. 2. Donk's overview of RDP file settings is a handy place to start. Do you have issues with your remote desktop connection? Here are tips for fixing remote desktop screen settings issues. Remote desktop connections can be tricky to set up. Use these troubleshooting tips to connect to and service PCs from anywhere. Text source, makeuseof.com.